Greetings from the Red Blue Enigma. Let's cut to the chase. Bowser is a loser. Sure, every video game antagonist is fated to lose eventually in the most common of genres, but let's explore just how bad Bowser manages to bungle it up. After all, Bowser is big, which means he's got the weight advantage, the strength advantage, heck, in certain cases he's even got the speed advantage. Did I mention that he can jump high? Like, really high. Higher than Mario even. He has everything going for him, but it's to no avail. So what causes this Koopa King to have such a track record for losing? Let's start from the top. Super Mario Bros. For the NES. Bowser is invulnerable to base Mario's attacks. Any contact results in damage. Clearly he's got higher stats than Mario, and if you lose your Fire Flower you have to hit the axe. Given Mario's faced quite a few fake Bowsers up to this point, it would stand to reason the guy should just remove that axe just in case Mario makes it to him. But no, either none of his troops reported such, or he was that stubborn. At least we see the fireballs Mario throws move faster than Bowser's fire and have longer range than those seldom used hammers Bowser throws. It's not unbelievable that Mario can take this win with a Fire Flower, but base Mario should be absolutely cooked. Moving on to Super Mario Bros. 3, here's where we get a glimpse of Bowser's incredible jumping prowess exceeding that of our protagonist. Mario can also touch Bowser in this one fight without taking damage, oddly enough, which takes away from many of the King's offensive options. Still, after a while, Bowser causes his own loss here by breaking a bridge suspended upon lava. Maybe next time he'll learn not to fight over lava. Regardless, Mario can beat him physically with a power-up, so Bowser's bad strategy can be somewhat excused with this loss. And now we get to Mario World. Mario can't even hurt Bowser with a power-up here, so it's gonna be dicey for the plumber. This is the Koopa Clown Car's fighting debut, so it wouldn't matter if the bridge was there for the fight anyway. But at least he's trying. Actually, he needs to try less, as one of Bowser's big brain plans is to throw Mecha Koopas at Mario as an attack. The problem here is that Mario throws these back as projectiles to Bowser's clearly vulnerable head. If Bowser would have just stopped using these to attack Mario, he likely would have been fine. So Bowser caused his own defeat, a very reoccurring trend in this video. Mario World 2 is a bit of a strange case. Bowser gets big as a baby and, when you know it, he is by default transplanted at a distance. It's like fate transpires against him and sends Yoshi giant eggs on balloons for ammunition. Yoshi wouldn't have been able to do it without them. Baby B didn't quite doom himself here in the very least. Super Mario 64. We know the story. I'm just gonna ignore the fact that Bowser's breath can create coins to revitalize Mario. We all know about the bombs in the arena and how Bowser taunts Mario saying he'll never be able to throw Bowser into them. Assuming Bowser didn't form everything in his own arena, literally all Bowser needed to do was run into Mario. There's also this factor about Bowser being able to outrun Mario in this, so apparently Mario doesn't always get the speed advantage in his favor. It seems Bowser has poor traction and acceleration, which keeps it fairly balanced. Still, knowing Bowser can jump here, he should be able to jump to counter Mario's backwards flips over him. I guess a long jump can save Mario, but it doesn't excuse Bowser losing to this bad planning with the bombs. Mario couldn't touch him otherwise. Paper Mario is the only game that insinuates Mario stands a chance against Bowser on his own without power-ups. Jumping can actually damage him this time. Still, in the opening fight, before Bowser pulls his MacGuffin, Mario only stands a chance, since he strikes first, if Bowser has the same amount of health here, which we never see. Of course, if Kammy Koopa decided to join this fray, Mario would definitely lose. It's not like Peach was of any help, which is another issue on its own. Overall, Paper Mario portrays Bowser somewhat competently. He could still use his power from the MacGuffin to make minions invincible, though. The one time he does this, he intentionally sets a weakness. Whether that be a fear his minion would turn on him or to give Mario a chance is never exactly clear, but he still manages to bungle it. At the end, Mario gathers help to defeat Bowser, so he's not facing Mario in a 1 versus 1. Oh yeah, there's Mario RPG, where Mario sets out to face Bowser alone, but even this opening fight is nebulous as Mario can't directly knock out Bowser in this battle. Bowser stays on a giant chandelier and hopes Mario isn't going to be smart enough to break it. Next we have Mario Sunshine, where Bowser seems to be bigger than normal. He's lounging in a giant floating hot tub. Mario has to ground pound the floating supports, but he can only do it with his FLUDD device giving him extra height. Still, he never directly attacks Bowser here, and when they all fall, Bowser falls far away from Mario for some reason, and doesn't press an attack. Guess Bowser called it off when he realized that he didn't have any Bob-ombs to help Mario win. In Galaxy, it is exaggerated that Mario beating him here is an impressive feat for base Mario. Mario can't do it on his own, as the Luma possession gives the hero a cosmic energy spin. Not only that, but the spin can only hurt Bowser when Bowser's guard is down, mostly due to a stage hazard abuse. The lava at the end really takes the cake, as all Bowser has to do is not stomp and he won't risk hitting it. Sheesh. Galaxy 2 has it a little different. Bowser pulls you to a gravitational planetoid, but he shouldn't have done that, as he could have just tried roasting Mario on the platform before him. He never wises up to the fact that his attacks make the asteroids, which Mario then ground pounds back to him, seemingly redirecting their self-made gravity with a ground pound of significantly less power than when he was using FLUDD to help in Sunshine. These asteroids aren't given much lore, but show up conveniently even in the final fight to help Mario. They must have come from Bowser's fortress. Bowser could have really kept a lid on that, but it's irrelevant since he could have just flamed Mario from his throne. I'm not going to focus much on the other games outside the 3D ones. The new Super Mario Bros. Games usually involve hitting a switch. Mario and Luigi RPGs usually have the bros teamwork moves and weaponry carry them, and this extends to when you're battling Bowser. The one time Mario faces Bowser on his lonesome in Super Paper Mario, he has help from the fairy-like helpers to actually deal damage to Bowser. Let's cut to 3D Land. Now, I should point out that Bowser usually takes a second to build power in his leaping, so Mario's leaps appear to be more advantageous. Still, Bowser starts to jump away from Mario in the first opening of this fight and tries to snipe him. All Bowser had to do was walk forward and Mario would reasonably be finished, as Mario jumping over him seems to be a problem this time. That alone makes Bowser an idiot. In the final chase for this game, though, Bowser seems to have lost some speed that he had from 64, as it's practically a race to the button. He shouldn't have installed such a button in the first place, but there is no excuse for him seeing Mario prepare to press the button and thinking that he can just outrun Mario. Even if Bowser's leaps take a second to build power, that's all he needed to build up power and leap to safety. He makes up victory yet again. It's all self-inflicted. Now it's here where you may be tempted to think, well, Mario has plot armor, but that's not exactly the case, as we saw with Yoshi earlier, as even Princess Peach in her first game has to deal with a giant Bowser, and even though her game-exclusive abilities, she was powerful enough to damage him earlier, she can't touch them in this form. No, it's because Bob-ombs keep showing up that she's able to toss them into his giant head, providing another self-inflicted tragic loss. If there's a way to lose, Bowser will find it. So you see, Mario isn't that good at winning. Bowser just knows how to lose that well. Case in point, Bowser's on his car in 3D World. What do? Walk forward? No, that's too brilliant. If you're Bowser, you lob bombs and keep doing it after they've been thrown back at you. Now, maybe you can assume he's afraid of the gang's power-ups, but let's not kid ourselves. In the final fight, Bowser is invulnerable with his own power-ups. Can't be jumped over, has the characters on a narrow bridge, he has all the cards, and instead of walking forward, what does he do? You guessed it, he jumps away from his opponents, giving them a chance to climb the tower where there's apparently a giant POW block waiting at the top. He could have literally made this tower anywhere else if he didn't put the block there himself. Without it, he would have won easily. Apparently, I can expect nothing less from the guy too afraid to walk forward. Odyssey doesn't fare much better. But you may be thinking at this point, Red Blue Enigma, all these contrivances are just for gameplay reasons. There's no way Bowser is that stupid as to cause his own demise in a more grounded adaptation. So let's turn to the first ever Mario movie and see if Bowser manages to be somewhat competent. Surprisingly, yeah, he easily overpowers Mario to the start, but is still proactive. He gets his minions to try to trap Mario, and it's only at the end, when Mario is using his best power-ups, that Bowser realizes he may not have the upper hand anymore, and does his best to fry Mario. Oh wait, wrong image. What I described right now is the premise behind the theatrical anime, The Great Mission to Rescue Princess Peach. It wasn't released West Side, but it managed to make all the characters fairly competent, even if Mario himself wasn't too smart and relied mostly on luck. But that's not a bad first showing for Bowser. I could mention the live-action movie, but given how Koopa was only larger than Mario for around 3 seconds before dissolving into goo, there's not much to talk about. So now I turn my eyes to the first Illumination movie, and there's plenty to note here. First, let's just look at that opening sequence. Kamek alone is busted here, being able to hold on to whole armies with telekinesis. This is a major issue that should cause Mario and Luigi problems. Second, Bowser's fire breath is incredibly buffed in this movie. The opening shows the range and speed greater than anything he's capable of in the games, and he can hold it for 12 seconds at least. So how do the bros fare against a foe this strong? Let's look at the final fight. Some may raise the point that Bowser should have used the Starman to beat everyone in the final battle. Considering how he is faring easily against Donkey Kong and probably wasn't going to face a stronger foe, I can see him concluding he really didn't need it. Kamek is taken out by an unexpected snipe from Peach. Fair enough. It all seems to make sense, right? But if Bowser had really been smart, Kamek should have been by Peach at all times during the wedding. She also should have been incapacitated by telekinesis alongside Toad as well. But that didn't change the fact that Kamek was his greatest asset, and wasn't protecting Bowser at all times here. There's also the simple fact that Bowser would have won if he didn't bother getting the Starman in the first place. Yeah, it's practically akin to giving his opponents bob-ombs, but it's not over there. He obviously knew the Starman didn't last forever as he would have used it earlier, so when he saw his best attack didn't make Mario even flinch, instead of fighting on, he should have waited it out. Whether the star lasts 30 minutes or 30 seconds, calling a retreat was the only way to go. All of this shows his incompetence. And to top it all off, the worst offender is, he already had a weapon arguably greater than any Starman could be. The giant Bullet Bill. When watching this in the theater, it came out of nowhere, and I was genuinely shocked to see he had this great an advantage from the start. Why bother getting a power-up that lasts a few seconds in the first place when you have an actual WMD in a world where your foes have practically no defense against it? He didn't hesitate to use it on a mostly abandoned kingdom after all. The way he did use it provided little tactical advantage. Way to go, Big B! You had all the cards and you bungled it up. Then we get to the Galaxy movie. I'll admit, I passed on watching this one. What I do know from seeing clips online is that he throws an axe, and that leads to his defeat. Now, these axes provide him no discernible advantage against Mario, so again, he just gave his opponents an edge for his own defeat. But it gets even more idiotic when you consider he didn't even need to get in close. They are all on a narrow bridge, there's practically no escape for them, and he can't miss using his fire breath. They are toast. Even if he did feel the need to get close, it's unlikely they could jump high enough to evade him before he continues his stream upward, which he can easily do. All you had to do was keep holding the B button, you absolute moron! Yeah, I don't even want to think about how they probably fumbled Kamek in this one too. It was a fairly pretty opening to the first movie, but they didn't think about much repercussions. Well, Miyamoto, you actually did it. After having it right the first time, you managed to adapt one of the most horrible aspects of the games with Bowser shooting himself in the foot constantly. Great job, Shiggy! I'm almost impressed at how this was possible. Bowser is actually a fairly formidable fighter when he's not setting arenas of his own defeat. Despite what Smash Bros. May have you think, the main games have done more job convincing the world that Bowser and Mario are not even remotely on par. Certain power scalers seem to object to that, but chain scaling is a bad way to measure power levels anyway. So what's the final take here? Well, Bowser is fated to lose. I give him an A for persistency, but he deserves a dunce cap for all his accumulative self-owns. So is there a work outside of the 80s anime that does it right? I like to think my 1 hour 40 minute Mario animatic keeps things fairly balanced. It takes some cues from the anime movie, but gives him new tactics. He even tries to ambush Mario at one point. Bowser's only major downfall in this movie is assuming that he'll easily deal with anyone coming out from the warp pipe leading to America. He probably should have sealed that, but instead he wanted to cause chaos there. I hope to continue this work in the future and see if Bowser remains formidable and reasonably competent. Thank you for listening. I like to have informative videos, and I want to start my next animatic project in my Legendary universe soon. Stay tuned for more.